You were saying,
So that, yeah, you need mentorship. Even
right.
it's you need somebody to teach you something, and even in a sense, if somebody was not the best mentor, have you guys ever seen that movie Fences with T.D. Jakes or just
No,
T.D.
no,
Jakes?
no, no.
Sorry, T.D.
I
Jakes.
seen it with
Denzel Washington.
Denzel,
Sorry,
yeah.
I was still thinking about T.D. Jakes right now.
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington, that there's a scene in this movie where his son is asking me, "How come you ain't never liked me?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Like you?
I ain't got to like
Who
you.
the hell said I got to like you?"
right.
And that, he goes through this whole spill about that he owes him a responsibility, and he says, "Now let me get this straight." He goes, "I ain't got to like you. I gave you your life. Me and your mama went on that, and liking your ass wasn't part of the equation,
Right.
He goes, "Now don't go through life worrying if somebody likes me. You damn better be sure they're doing right by you." And even though he was not the most healthiest, non-toxic father
figure,
he
yeah.
still kind of gave him that thing. Okay, well, just make sure people are doing right by me, type of thing.
Right.
And so there's good mentors, there's bad mentors, but I think you can definitely learn something from everyone, even if it's not what you want to be.
A bad mentor.
Yeah.
It's also a good teacher.
Absolutely, yeah, because you learn what not to do or
Right.
how to not treat people. And I think
Right.
at the end of the day, when you're working with other people, there's a human level that we're all on,
Yes.
and whether you're working in a cubicle or working on projects or working in a school, like, you do have a collective goal together overall. And for me, my leadership style is like, is that I'm not the guy who's like, hey, shut up, sit down, do your work,
Right.
and do your job, because that's not a boss I would want to be
Yeah.
working for. I'd rather be open and honest, transparent with them. Sometimes firm when you gotta be,
Yeah.
but not in a spiteful way. Just
Right.
like, hey, we got to get stuff done, man. Like, this got to be done. I need you to do A, B, and C. I'm doing A, B, and C. Like, we're working together.
Yeah.
To make something happen. So
And speaking of that, I keep saying before we transition, but
Yeah.
there's so much good content
Yeah.
in leadership, because we're like in this environment. There's a lot of like different than besides just doing the production. Like, it's the leadership aspect is I'm very interested on, and I wanted to touch for anyone out there who has a team of people, and you have the responsibility of hiring and firing people. That's tough.
yeah.
That's tough. So I think that's good knowledge to apply, because as creatives, we know sometimes we collaborate and we get to partnerships and we do projects with other people, and then things don't go the way we want to, and the relationship is cut,
Yeah.
So how have you experienced, or on both of you, like letting go of a team member, like in the healthiest way possible? How can someone who runs a team learn, like, what is the process of letting go?
It's never an easy thing to do,
Right.
and I think it also depends too on your team vibe, right? Because I think when you bring people on your team, there's you're gelling, there's a certain expectation, and there's a cohesiveness amongst everybody that, hey, I brought this guy in, or we brought this guy in, because of A, B, and C. Like, he meets or she meets certain criteria
Right.
that we feel will benefit our team. When it doesn't happen, and I've dealt with this personally because I've had to let go people.
Yeah.
At the forefront and at the top thing for me, I'm in charge of a program.
Right.
And in order for my program to be successful, I need to have A, B, C, and D. And A is always quality people. And if quality people don't turn out to be quality, then I have a fiduciary, commitment to my program. I got to bring the best people to have these programs for these kids,
Yeah.
to provide these services and to have those relationships. If you're not checking those off, even with coaching and just something just not working, then it's better to remove them,
Right.
get them out, and try to bring someone else in.
Right. Regardless of the friendship or anything that you built in.
Yeah, and I think when you are at the leadership level, you do have some sort of kind of a wall up,
Yeah.
not that you can't be completely cool with them and stuff like that, but I think at the end of the day, the expectation from your employees and from you is that if stuff goes down, I have to make those decisions.
Right.
And it's nothing personal. This is just a business move right here. And for the business, this is not the best benefit. It's not the best bang for my buck.
Right. Have you ever let go of someone that you really cared for?
Yeah, I've had personal, friends that I
Right.
feel like were even considered family friends that I've had to let go.
Right.
And you know, sometimes, or in the particular case,
Right.
luckily we were both on the same wavelength the whole time, where like, you know, it's going down that road.
Yeah.
And it's easier for you to make the jump than for me to have to make that jump.
Right.
And it worked out in that particular situation. Do I talk to them still? I haven't, you know, but it's part of the territory, you know.
Right.
So don't hire family friends.
Don't have family friends.
But honestly, like, you should.
Right. And I'm trying to apply it. Obviously, like, you work at a school district level, you know, like there's different environments and people that have to go through different systems. But I mean, just relating it to like working in a project.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what I have to like mirror with this conversation.
Yeah.
Like when you work together, I mean, you guys right now are working together.
Right.
In a project. So has there ever been like, I don't want to work with them? You know,
Every
like,
day.
I hate
Yeah,
working
yeah,
every
all
day.
the time, yeah.
This is all for show, right?
This is
now.
all show.
yeah,
It's
wow.
fake.
Yeah.
No, I think at the basis, and I know you want to chime in. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off though, because I
It's
can,
fine, yeah.
and that's where the hate starts at. But I think, like I was talking about, when you're building a team, there's that at least surface level or genuine connection that you have with somebody, and you're like, I think, let's see where this goes. I think it can work. And the project, you know, the podcast that we have,
Right.
you know, I think we generally are both in the same weight range, and I think that's kind of the initial, like, oh, okay, there's a fellow fatty, you know.
Is that what you invited me? That was a
Hey,
requirement?
you invited us, so I mean, I'm kind of thinking
No,
about
to your
what-
podcast
what-
back then when you started it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, he fits the
You'd
role.
be kicked
You
out
fit
by
the
now,
bill.
so yeah.
Yeah, you've lost too much weight,
You're
but
no longer a bear, you're more like of a cub now type
yeah,
thing. So.
but I think
I
the
don't want
thing
another
that makes
reference.
great duos work or
Mm.
great teams work is that you do have that initial connection. You also have initial interests, and then you're also vested in either each other and the projects together. And I think that's how you just build on something and make it great.
Right.
No, I agree. I was gonna say I am terrible at saying no to people, and so
Good to know.
In bed.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless they're asking me to go hiking, then I'm really good at it. I'm not going to do that.
Hiking?
Hiking.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
no.
gonna say no. I was like,
No,
you're good at hiking.
I'm saying I'm bad at saying no to
Yeah.
people. Like, so as far as like firing people or letting people go, I'm not good at saying no. Unless you're asking me to go exercise, then we're not doing that.
Right. We know for sure.
It's a easy.
Yeah. No, but I was gonna say I think so what I try to do, so I kind of avoid that, and it's not avoidable. You know, it's gonna happen. You just have to have your yes be yes and your no be no. You have to be consistent with what you're saying. You know,
Biblical principles.
Yes, I was gonna say, and so for me, for another job I have is I work with kids in a youth center. You know what I mean? So with them, you know, they're you really have to be very consistent with what you're saying. So if I tell you, hey, if you mess up, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
And if you're good, I'm gonna do this, do that. You know. So, but whatever it is, you need to follow up on that. You know what I mean? If you don't follow up, then your word becomes useless, and that's kind of like Scarface. That's like the only thing you have in there. You know what I mean? And so, I guess for as far as things letting people go, it's like, hey, you know that I told you though, if we can't work this out, then I'm gonna have to go with somebody else.
Right. And
So-
let that be across the board.
But to
Right.
be honest, that's a skill that you have to learn, then you have to practice, and you have to continue practicing that over and over, because like I was talking about the transitioning from employee to supervisor, right? Like telling your peers to a directive or giving them a directive isn't as easy as if you're kind of detached from them, right?
Yeah.
Because you've already had this rapport with them, you've had this relationship with them, and now you're in a different role giving them a directive. And so then, you know, things aren't as easy as if it was someone that you didn't know.
Yeah,
they
someone
just
new
came
who
in,
and they see you as a boss. They're like, oh, they're gonna respect it.
he's already in that light, right?
Right.
So it's just something that
That's a huge transition for
Yeah.
me. When I was working, I was a new guy, I think, right? I was a new guy. Everyone else was in the program for years. And then 2 years later, I applied. I got the supervisor. And then the whole thing changed because it was a huge transition
Right.
for everyone else who was there before, you know? And I was like, okay, like it was hard to lead a team that they saw you as a new guy.
Right.
You know? And then, but when new people came in, that's when I feel like I started developing.
it gets easier
It gets
Right, yes.
easier.
because your emotional attachment to them isn't as strong as it was.
Right.
Absolutely.